basically, what's going on here is, we're seeing this railgun footage, and the Navy just kind of declassified these, even though a lot of people knew about it, from the Transformers movie, where they fire at the Autobots, or not the Autobots, but the Decepticons that are on top of, like, the Great Pyramid or something like that. So the Navy has declassified this, and they actually did some interesting demonstrations. So these railguns, the way that they work is they basically take a magnetic field, and they propel this projectile out by kind of columnating these EM fields, and it just like a magnet, it's instantaneous. And so what happens is this projectile comes out the end of that railgun at Mach 7.5, which is an absolutely ridiculous amount of speed, and yet they're actually going to show some slow motion footage of when it goes through. And I'll tell you, when that thing hits something, I mean, it just absolutely annihilates it. And the projectile itself isn't very big, but when it's going at 5,600 miles an hour, anything that it even remotely touches is going to be completely annihilated. Oh, and here's that scene from the Transformers movie. So we're talking about a hypersonic railgun, and the thing about this is the reason that this guy is saying that it proves flat Earth is because it really does. It doesn't have much of an arc to drop down, and as soon as it goes over just a few miles of the Earth, then it would have curvature to contend with to be able to accurately hit its target. Well, if it can shoot up to 100 miles, well, we all know that the curvature in 100 miles is 6,666 feet. Which is well over a mile and a quarter, mile and a third, something like that. And it would seem to me that the curvature of the Earth would make this fairly useless, especially for anything that would be any closer, than 100 miles or anything like that before it would actually start arcing off. But until then, the drop is almost non-existent. So that leaves a whole lot of area in between the railgun and its target, where there would be alleged Earth curvature. Well, because of the fact that they can pinpoint targets, I mean, right down to a gnat's butt, that tells us that they're not having to deal with any curvature, because they would have to, commensurately make the gun somehow magically arc around the Earth. And these are not smart projectiles; they're dumb projectiles. They're definitely aerodynamic, but they do not have any other type of guidance system in them other than the brute force of the magnets firing across. So I would have to agree with this guy in his assertion that, if the Earth was truly curved, that it would make this, completely impossible to work. But like I said, the biggest thing is the speed. I mean, the speed is almost completely unbelievable. It's so fast. Traveling at the 6,000 miles an hour, or 7,000, what was it again? I forgot. I've got to go back to it. But, and we're asked to believe, 5,800 miles an hour. We're asked to believe that the ISS is traveling, more than 3 times that speed, which is ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous and ridiculous to even think that that is possible without people dying. There's no way you could navigate that. And again, this is one of those common sense things that the idea, when you really put it in perspective, that the ISS, that huge thing that's bigger than a football field, is traveling at 3 times the speed of the projectile from this railgun. Ridiculous. No way. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's tunnels, railroads, bridges, railguns, all that stuff disproves the ball Earth. And yeah, I totally agree with you about the speeds. There's just no way the rockets are going 17,500 miles per hour. That's 90-something or 87 football fields in a second. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, but no, that's a good point, though, man. I mean, they're dumb projectiles. That thing was going straight as an arrow, and yeah, they're not accounting for curvature at all, which would be something that would be extremely important for those who are targeting those things. And it seems to me that if there's no sort of laser guidance or some sort of smart guidance and they're hitting targets, from miles out, and not doing the spherical trig that would be necessary on a sphere, then that's another good one. Everything just works on the flat Earth, and really nothing works on the sphere. And that's.
I'd like to interrupt that. There is something that only works on a sphere. It's called gravity.
Oh, well, true. That is true. That is true. But no, man, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. But, just like everything that comes out is always going to favor the flat Earth truth as opposed to round Earth or globe Earth theory, because this is something I like to say, is that you can't prove falsity correct, and you can't disprove the truth. So it is nice to be a flat earther, even with all the ridicule and all of the snickers and sideways glances that you may get. It's nice to have the truth on your side, right?
Yes, absolutely. I agree. So, yeah, there's another thing to put in the old repertoire, when you're talking with your ball earth friends about, the impossibilities of living on a ball. Here we have modern day technology that simply defies logic that it would ever be able to operate. I mean, this railgun can fire 100 miles away. It can hit a target 100 miles away, which is just unbelievable. And yet very believable. I mean, I'm not doubting that they can do it, but when you put it in perspective and compare it to, the requisites of having to deal with a curved Earth, and also the fact that it's firing from literally sea level, just a few feet above sea level, on the deck of a ship, well, you don't have a whole lot of land to play with before curvature starts taking over, and you wouldn't be able to hit much. And it would be one heck of an arc shot to be able to hit a target 60 miles away that is, several thousand feet below the horizon. I would love to see how that would be accomplished, but we all know that the Earth is not curved, it is not spherical, it is a flat plane, and that makes weapons like this much, much easier to be able to utilize.